Hey, Gloucester Township. I am Joe Allen here with Keith Gibbons, and this is the Restore GT podcast. It's been a couple weeks. We were out for a bit. Had some technical difficulties. Tried actually setting it all up last night and doing a pretty big show, and
we had a little bit of difficulties, but
we failed at it. Had
between
some,
that and the summertime, scheduling conflicts and things like that with how it goes
definitely not working 9 to 5. So we it's tough to get both of us together in the same location. So we
apologize for the delay there, but we had the last podcast we had Denise Coyne on as a guest. We've been in touch with a few other people for future shows as well. But today you're just stuck with the two of us. But we do have some clips of some other people, so you won't have to just sit here and stare at the two of us. But we figured we'd pick it back up with where we left off last time, which was with the Brittany Woods project that was kind of just thrown onto an agenda very last minute, and we had a lot of questions about it back then. So some things have been answered, and we still have other questions.
Yeah, we had Denise on. She had a lot of questions and didn't feel like they were really getting answered. There was just kind of almost a mystery about it. It seemed like the concern was never really where this project was happening. It was just another one of those projects that we didn't have a whole lot of information on. And
it just came out of nowhere. It was just thrown onto an agenda last minute. There was no information available until an hour or so before the one meeting. So that was the question: is where, why, how, what, and all those kind of questions.
Yeah, so that was back. I believe that was on the June 13th. I think that one was, and we've had I think 2 meetings since 2 meetings since that meeting.
Yeah,
and not really eventful last week, but we kind of wanted to give you a follow up on what we learned about that since the 13th, and what we do know now is that so currently the affordable housing that will run out. That was good for basically the term of the mortgage on the property.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's a 50-year mortgage on the property, so that house would fall out of the affordable housing range. Those 29 units would fall out of the affordable housing range in 2032, I believe it was.
Yeah, but there's also a chance that if the mortgage is paid off at some point during the tail end of it, they were saying that there's a chance that it could fall off, which then would put Gloucester Township in jeopardy of falling short of our needs, that are dictated by the state. So that's kind of where the hurry is, or the rush, or the urgency behind this project. So that was explained to us a little bit of why it's being rushed through, because of that whole project. And there's a change of hands, which that part I don't understand. That if the change of hands can happen, that means that the mortgage is being paid off. So now it's no longer under that whole stipulation that it would have the deed restriction to it to be affordable housing. My other question around it was that the explanation of the township saying, well, now we have more control over this project if we do these things. As a private owner of a property, why would you want someone else to have more control over that? That's the part that I don't understand.
Yeah, that was the strange thing. You think about all the other apartment complexes in Gloucester Township, Cherrywood and Lakeview and all those. If they want to upgrade their apartments, if they want to do anything to them, they want to rehab them.
Yeah,
they just rehab them. They get construction permits. They go ahead and they just rehab them. It's not really. It doesn't make its way to agendas.
Yeah.
There's no Gloucester Township involvement other than permits and inspections. That's pretty much it. And that's kind of that's why people got concerned, interested about this, was just that, okay, if it's just somebody new buying the apartments and rehabbing them, what's all this for? And a lot of there was a lot of questions around, well, who's going to pay for it? Is it taxpayer money? And
and I believe that's where the questions come from, because it's one of those things where taxpayer money is all of our money, every one of us here, and that's where the questions come from, not because of the particular apartment complex, and not because of anything else other than we don't know anything about this, and it's our money, so we should know how it's being spent and where and why and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. So, what we did learn was this will take if this all goes through, this could extend up to 45 years the affordable housing stamp that's on this property. So, it would go from, if they bought it in 22, it would take it up to an additional 45 years. I think it's 30 to 45 is what they're saying. So it'll increase it at least 30 from, I guess, the time that they take the mortgage over.
Yeah.
Because that would reset it. So we would get 30 off of that and up to 45 more years. So that would be 29 units that would go towards Gloucester Township's
quota.
The quota for having affordable housing. So,
and I believe it also makes them new units to that project too, because there's different stages of this. Yeah. Requirements that the state lays out, and there will be new requirements after 2025, I believe it is, and then this will now count towards that new number. So
yeah, so definitely a good thing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Definitely a good thing. Some of the things that are included in this is there's going to be a community center going to go in, so like meeting rooms. They're going to have on-site maintenance people also. So it's I guess now, from what I gather now, the ownership of this is like a family in ACO. So I guess when things need to be repaired, it doesn't happen like your normal apartment complex. You got a maintenance guy on staff. But here, they don't have it. They don't have anybody on locally. So they're going to have on-site maintenance staff. I think meeting rooms.
I'm not sure what's in the community center, but I know there's a community center and an additional playground as well for the children.
Yeah, some of them have gyms. I don't know if this one they didn't. I don't think they mentioned a gym on this one, but that's generally, it's kind of what it is.
They were not getting any abatements or anything on tax tax breaks or anything like that with this project.
Yeah,
they said
that question was asked, and
it's not going to be a pilot. And we don't. The parts we don't know are a little bit of like, why is it being completely separated out from Brittany Woods? Because part of this unit right now, or these units I should say, are part of Brittany Woods. If you said Brittany Woods, you're talking about these units as well. What they're looking to do is to break them completely off, and that's kind of another question, is why is that being done? There can be a reason for that that's not being told to us, and it still makes everything still a good project. But we're curious as to why, I think, as citizens, and that question was brought up, and it hasn't actually been answered yet. But there are reasons behind breaking it off, why it would benefit both, I guess, the township and the new owner of this, or the proposed owner. I don't know if it actually did change hands yet or not, but they might be able to get special financing because it is 100% affordable versus it being a part of a whole community. There's nothing wrong with that. We just want to know the answer of why that is done. Does it then open up doors for spending of our affordable housing trust fund? Does that go into that? Now that's another question that goes into things that we don't know around what this project is. And
yeah, it's been asked. Well, it has been asked. Is it going to take some of our affordable housing money that we're given from the state, or is that company that's going to do the rehabs, they're going to use some of the state money to go towards that? It's been asked. We got a clip. We got a kind of a clip on that later, but we haven't really gotten an answer on that. And I guess with the separation of this, there will also be a separate playground for just the affordable housing section only, which is kind of, it's one of the
I'm not
things
sure how that's like policed or anything. I don't know if that's even anything anybody worries about, but it's just something that is, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it.
It's a weird thing. And one of the things that Denise brought up was, you're not supposed to separate.
True, yeah. In our plan, it's supposed to be that it's not. It's inclusive. It's everyone. You couldn't tell the difference between an affordable unit versus not. And this is now going the complete opposite direction of what our town has said that we want to do. Be inclusive and make everyone.
Yeah. So now you've got the affordable section with the affordable playground, and it's kind of like Denise was saying, we're not supposed to separate this stuff like this. it's we want it to be one community, and it doesn't make sense to separate it. But it kind of got turned around, really kind of against her too, the way they took it, I guess. But
Yeah.
that's what we do know. I guess what we don't know is well, one of the first things that was brought up, and it was brought up over and over and over again. They asked about, well, how did this come about? And everybody kept saying, well, the Petrangelo, he's the planner,
yeah.
said, well, we did a study, and we determined that this
Meets the criteria.
It meets the criteria, and so then the obvious next question is, who paid for the study? Did the business that wants to buy, did they pay for the study? Did the taxpayers pay for the study? And they didn't know. They kind of kicked that back. In the first meeting when it was introduced, they said, if you want to know these questions, go to the planning board meeting.
Yeah.
So Denise went to the planning board meeting, and she asked the same questions at the planning board meeting. And they kind of said,
during the planning board meeting, they said, yes, a study was done. She clarified and said that I'm not talking about to see if it's an area in need of rehabilitation or whatever the terminology is for that. There's 3 or 4 different things that all sound exactly the same, and I'm not any expert in this area. But there was clarification made that a study was done, which is what is needed to be done. And Mr. Petrangelo, during the planning board meeting, clarified, shook his head, yes, this is, a study was done. She clarified that this was done recently. You're not talking about the one from 1980, whatever year it was. And he said, yes, it was done recently. He did not know the date, though. And then, when Denise had brought it up at the next council meeting after the planning board meeting had happened, she basically was told that she's a liar, that he did not say that. And he said claimed he did not say that. So we actually have clips of a couple of the things here where...
Yeah, so a couple of the clips here start out with, in a previous meeting, Denise had asked, how'd this all come about? And nobody really knew. They thought maybe there was a straw poll done on it. And at one point, Dan Hutchinson says...
You're putting words into my mouth.
Well, yeah, how it came up is he first said, we should look into that. And then at the next meeting, when Denise asked, hey, you said you were gonna investigate this, and he said, I never asked for an investigation. So it was kind of a
wordplay of it's investigation and looking into it.
Kind of the same
it's the
thing,
same
but
thing, and that's she wasn't like she brought up, and you'll see in the clips here, but
it
got heated, and other citizens got involved in defending Denise's line of questioning, and so we have a couple different clips here to play with this whole thing, but there's we'll start off with the Denise.
She comes here today and puts words saying I called for an investigation, putting words in the other individual's mouth. And then she sits up here and questions, did the township pay for the study? Did you say here, Mr. Hutchison said we should conduct an investigation?
It required an investigation, meaning you needed to look into it, get me an answer. I said, you said it required investigation.
But did I actually say that?
I wasn't quoting you directly. I was not. I did not say Mr. Hutchinson said quote unquote. I did not say that.
So this is going back to the original, him saying this.
You could have done a straw poll. I don't know.
We should probably check. Sometime back. I can't remember, but I feel like we did.
Straw poll. Let's double check.
So there he is saying exactly what.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the plan. I'm talking about the study. Mr. Petrangelo said there was.
So this clip here is basically just, this is going to be asking about the study and if the study was done. And
at this point in time, he had already mentioned and already said that yes, there was a study. So she was asking counsel, saying that Mr. Petrangelo, who's the man, I guess, in the very middle of the screen, saying, you said there was a study, and then he denies saying that. So the clip after that will be him actually saying what she just said that he's.
There's a recent study done.
No, I said that there was a recent redevelopment plan was prepared. That we are relying on the prior area
I understand
of.
that, but when you said there was a recent study at the planning board
So she's
meeting, you
clarifying
said there was
again,
a
it
study
was a
done.
study.
I said recently,
Just like
you
she did
said
at the
yes.
planning
Redevelopment plan, yes. That's what we're talking about. That's what this ordinance is to adopt.
I said study.
Okay.
I said there was.
I think we have
Okay, so there was no recent study, that's fine.
So she,
Mr.
yeah.
Hutchison, next time you accuse me of putting words in somebody's mouth, I suggest you watch the planning board video, because on the planning board video, you will see that Mr. Petrangelo said a study. That. So there was a study done for
That was
this.
deeming it in need of rehabilitation, yes. Deeming it in need of rehabilitation, deeming it in need of redevelopment, that study has to be conducted as to whether or not it meets the state statutes for that criteria. That was done.
Recently.
I believe it was I did not do it, so I apologize, I don't know the date,
Yeah. So.
but that was done, yes.
So it's so there was a study done, but not really. It was kind of basically the town is an area, the entire town
Right.
is an area in need of rehabilitation. That's
many years it's been designated that. And her question is, this it has to be done recently, and that's what they're claiming it was done recently.
Yeah,
on
so,
one side of their mouth, and on the other side it says no, it wasn't. We never said that. I never
Nothing
said that.
specifically about that property, because that property falls into the township. So that property, therefore, is
an
area in need of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just one of those things that, that's what in the initial and that's why Denise was asking the question, because she knows that the entire township is designated as that.
Which then means that we don't need to do this study because it doesn't need to be done. So her problem is taxpayers just paid for a study to be done for something that doesn't need to be done because the entire area is already done that. So it's a waste of money.
And I think things like downtown Blackwood, I think we've paid for several studies now over the last, at least in the last 15 years, I think we've paid for 2 studies where somebody would come in.
They can update it with, different things and ideas. And
it's one thing if
that's a whole other topic.
If they actually do something about it. But yeah. So yeah, that was just one of the, and I guess one of the things that we brought up a little while ago was, the question was, is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund money going to go to the new owner to do those rehabs?
Right, they have to do things like relocate people. There's 29 tenants. If they're completely occupied right now, there's 29 tenants that need to be moved on to another place while they do their the rehab. So are they going to be owning that cost, or the taxpayers paying it out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, or just asking questions about this? It's the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a somewhat touchy topic there.
Yeah, they've used that money to kind of bounce back and forth with a few things, and
we can do a whole a whole show on
Restore
that
GT.
topic.
I think it was the Affordable Housing Trust
that's
Fund
on the page,
slush fund, I think, or something like that. There's a whole article on it. It was I think we talked to some reporters about it too. They were kind of interested in it, but never went anywhere.
Yeah,
a lot of the reporters here are kind of they're afraid to shake it up a little bit, and then they disappear too. So
yeah,
that's we
might be the dumb ones actually talking here.
Yeah.
We don't know any better.
It's the importance of us doing a podcast every 2 weeks so people know we're still around.
Right. Yeah, this is true.
So so Denise asked the question again about affordable housing money, and listen to the way that she asks the questions, and then listen to how it's answered, because how it's answered is the answer to a completely different question.
Yeah, the question's asked, and it was, is this eligible? Is the money the Affordable Housing Trust Fund eligible to be spent in this project? And the answer was that no money has been allocated to it. She didn't ask if it was allocated. She asked if it's eligible to be used in this.
And they said no. Wait, and they
didn't
we
say
haven't
anything.
used it yet.
They just said it has not been. There's been a couple other words in there to throw a little word salad, and then didn't answer the question. So
yep.
Here we go.
Our third EGov question is from Denise Coyne at 1060 Choose Landing Road. Laurel Springs, New Jersey. Is the rehabilitation project recently approved for block 17001, lots 39 to 45, and block 1706, lots 1 to 22 in Brittany, eligible for any funding from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund? Per our Affordable Housing Trust Fund spending plan, which was adopted in March of this year, no funding has been allocated to that project in Brittany Woods.
So
that concludes our eGov.
Yeah, so there we go.
And apologies for the audio that cuts in and out. That is
Actually no, that audio that he did say the word twice. If you watch it.
Oh, okay. I know when I was pulling clips
literally
before,
said it twice. Well, yeah, there is
some of the audio was horrible. So
yeah, it's worse than ours, folks.
Yes.
This might not be great here, but theirs is definitely worse. They got a new camera or something, and it is horrible now. I don't know. I mean, it was bad before, but it's gotten worse
It's
with the new
like
equipment.
4K now, but it was the Microsoft Cam from 1998.
It was. I remember Ray Palladora a few times had been like, "Oh, that $49, webcam up there," and point to it.
So they upgraded the camera, but apparently it crackled. Well, it cuts in and out. The voice cuts in and out on it. So the audio cuts in and out on it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I mean, they're not they're not tech guys or audio guys. Neither are we. So I can't put too much blame on them. But the video is horrible recently.
I could put a camera in. I mean,
yeah.
We got this far.
We did.
We got this far.
We have videos playing. We've got. You have no idea. There's all kinds of stuff. What was that noise? Did you just flush a toilet? All right. Anyway,
there's a bathroom above us. We're
we
in my
moved
house.
locations.
Yeah, we moved locations. We came back into the township to do the podcast.
Yeah,
so.
we're doing them a little off-site in Cherry Hill. And anyway,
all right. So
back on track here.
Affordable housing money. We don't know if it's going to be used. We will find out. Probably when it's used. That's when we're gonna find out.
We know it's not being used to transfer a piece of property that we've already transferred a few times.
Yes.
So we're wondering where is that going to be spent, and this might be part of it since we're not answering questions around it.
So that is.
And we also learned you're not allowed to ask questions about Brittany Woods. This is a very touchy subject with a couple of the members of council that you cannot question this. This is off limits apparently.
Yeah. Now, if you've ever sat in a meeting with Denise, and I've sat in meetings with Denise now for 3.
About 3 years.
It might be longer than that, man. It's. I spend so much time in meetings now, but nothing goes in that isn't questioned. If it's a property,
no,
and if it's a rehab or anything or building, Denise gets all the answers. And it's because
she
nobody
asks the questions.
That's true. Yeah, Denise knows the answers. She asks the questions because they should be asking the questions, and they don't. So,
right. But this particular project again was very touchy.
It is. It is.
One of the members of council apparently lives there.
Yes.
She said in one of the meetings that she lives literally next door to the 29 units, so it's very close proximity.
Yeah, so let's hear about that member's frustration.
Yeah.
In that.
Okay, so
That's exactly what it's doing.
Conforming to the plan.
Miss
All right,
Grace,
Ms. Klein,
hold
I
on
do
one
have a
second.
question.
Miss Grace, I'm a little frustrated because there's a lot of questions. But I just want to know, Ms. Klein, have you spoken to any of the stakeholders in that community about that it's been 45 years? I understand these are units that don't have working stoves. The floors are not good. There is a lot of work.
I'm not questioning
Again, I don't
the need for
understand what township has to do
rehabilitation
with-
So
at
are
all.
you not excited about a project that's going to help low-income folks?
I'm
that
not saying anything
are
about,
in need?
don't want them to help low-income folks either. I'm trying to understand why it's necessary to split these units off and why it's necessary to have a rehabilitation plan to rehabilitate rental apartments. It happens all the time.
So that
Yeah, so it's apparently a really big it's a big topic for Carolyn Grace. She's been with us now.
Very frustrating because there's a lot of questions.
She's been with us now for a year and a half.
I don't know how long she's been around.
Not passionate about anything else. Not a big talker. But Brittany Woods is definitely her thing.
I'm trying to say, if I lived somewhere, I'd want, I'd be invested in it as well. You would too, if it was your neighborhood.
I wouldn't want taxpayers to pay for anything in my neighborhood though. It would be
Okay.
I'm one of the few that likes the HOA because I think that we kind of take care of we like my street's got an HOA. It's only 20 houses. We take care of the playground is all ours. The fence that goes around the neighborhood's all ours. Like we take care of it all ourselves. It keeps us responsible, and then it doesn't put any burden on anybody else. I kind of like that. I'm kind of one of the few people that likes an HOA.
Yeah,
if only
I understand.
Yeah. So that is and the frustration kind of led into basically they were frustrated by Denise asking questions, and they were frustrated because Denise was frustrated with them for not asking questions, and their solution.
Right, and I know like the one question that Miss Grace asked Denise: did she go and speak to any of the stakeholders? And I know for a fact Denise did talk to people that live there in the 29 units, but it's not really anyone else's business. But also part of the whole thing is it's their responsibility to go do that. Why does Denise need to go to ask a question about the process, and why would a council member be mad at her about asking those questions and being so frustrated that she needs to stop the meeting and let her know of her frustration?
I'm thinking if I live in an apartment and somebody knocks on my door and they tell me they're a councilwoman and they want to ask some questions about it, I'm going to step out. I'm going to talk to them.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
But if some lady I don't know just knocks on the door and wants to talk to me about my apartment and what's going to happen there, I'm going to be like, no, I'm not really comfortable with it's just strangers knocking on my door talking to me about construction that's going to happen my place.
Right.
Unless they can identify with like the construction company or somebody in the township. So it's kind of it's a weird spot for Denise to just go knocking on doors.
Right. She didn't, to the people that she did speak to, she didn't go knock on doors. I know that. She spoke to them because she knew who they were, and through other people as well, and spoke to them, asking questions, again, about the process. But, Mrs. Grace's question about did you go knock on the doors is just, to me, is ridiculous that she would go, do that. She did have a very good, valid point, and I agree with her that, this is the most vulnerable population that we have in the, the low-income housing, that they might not have the ability to go or know who to go talk to and fight for, different things. So we do need to kind of deal with, with certain, in a certain manner. But that doesn't put that ownership onto a resident of Gloucester Township to go question someone that lives in a house. That's, again, back on council to do. Why? That blows my mind of why. It's a deflection, in my opinion, of just, I'm going to put this back on you instead of...
Yeah, we got a clip on that one, so we can hit that one up.
Yeah.
May I ask this then? The council that's voting on that, and the ladies and gentlemen that showed up here to make that presentation, wouldn't they already have done that as well? And by Ms. Coyne coming up here and asking all of you and those presenters here, wouldn't that be something that you would already know the answers to the question rather than having her go knock at doors to people that she doesn't know and don't know her? She's coming here to ask those questions. Wouldn't it be more appropriate or comfortable to have those questions answered here than knocking on a stranger's door?
No, I mean, just saying that if you really want to know what's really going on in those communities, you should have conversations with those stakeholders. That's why I asked the question. Have they, the developer met with the community stakeholders? Yes, they have. And they said they would meet with them again. Ms. Coyne should attend those meetings.
Yeah.
Oh, so she's, yeah. Okay.
Denise will gladly go to any meeting.
I know. She's not afraid to talk to somebody.
Any meetings.
So I don't know.
She's there. If there's meetings before council meetings, she's there.
Yeah.
If there's meetings on Tuesday, she's there. I've ran into her at school meetings. She's been there. She looks out for everybody in this town.
Yep.
So she is at all the meetings that she's allowed to be at. Now
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes they don't always announce the meeting. Sometimes she finds meetings that nobody else knows about. Like,
She must check the website every single day. I have no idea how she does that, but.
And even when they're not, like, you get a municipal clerk, your meetings are there and the agendas are there. She finds meetings that are not even on that page.
Right.
So
like, this was posted on the wrong page. Like, why were you on the wrong page then?
She knows where everything is.
Yep.
But
yeah, for her to go question, and I guess that's where you're going with this, so I'm assuming, but she questions everything, every single thing. But then she was in this particular case because of the project of it being, the Brittany Woods, whatever this, is called. She's made out to be some kind of bad person, or that she's against affordable housing, or she's a racist, or whatever else it is that they're trying to to put on her. And that is completely out of line. She questions everything, not just this project.
Her point in not separating those so that affordable housing units didn't become separate.
Right.
That was her looking out for
those residents.
So that those residents are not put into a special spot where it says these are affordable housing units.
The new management or ownership or whatever it is that was in there specifically said they're going to have a separate sign designating that this is what it is.
Yes.
So you're literally labeling these people that this is the affordable housing section, and that's completely opposite of what our plan is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be included. And then somehow it's flipped around that Denise is racist or whatever else that she was called against affordable housing because why?
Yeah.
Because why?
And they did this. That
drives me nuts.
To a bunch of us. It was a while back. They were putting the playground in, I think, like Ariel and Brittany Woods, and we basically questioned both of them because they were both
right.
They're both really, really expensive playgrounds. It was like $140,000 a playground, and we just had asked.
More than that, but.
Well, yeah, I think the total was $200,000 and some between them, and it was just. And they kind of moved them, they shifted them around, and like they were on plans, and then they were moved to different plans, and we just questioned them, and we never heard anything about like questioning like Ariel or whichever one that was going on Ariel.
Yeah.
But it was like they did the same thing with the Brittany Woods thing, and it was, why do you have a problem with things going into Brittany Woods? And it's like, look, we're questioning everything here. It's what we do.
Right.
When money's being spent in different areas, and it looks like putting a playground in is one thing. But when you start shifting playground money all over the place and you can't, nobody can actually trace it, then you start asking questions, and that's
no different than a shell game. You go,
yes,
you work in oh yeah, what's there? Money's
but
there. Here we go, file the shell.
To highlight,
new to coming to these council meetings. Being that I am
we give some context to this here. I don't know what you.
Yeah, no, I was going to go into the Orlando one, but this is probably we talked about this a little bit too. It was brought up whether or not Brittany Woods, the vote to go through, was it a conflict of interest?
Yeah. So that night that whatever the initial vote, I believe it was, they had quorum, but there was only 4 members to be able to vote. One of which was a resident of Brittany Woods. So the question was asked by someone, and here, we'll play the clip for you. You can listen to it.
A new homeowner, and even though not new to GT, but new to coming to these council meetings, I was wondering if you can kind of explain to me sort of the process of when a council member should abstain from a vote.
A council member obviously has to abstain if there's a conflict of interest, either personally or by neighborhood or wherever. For any reason that a council member feels they do not want to vote, they want to abstain, they're at liberty to do so.
Thank you for answering that. Reviewing the meeting from last week, I noticed when the voting for this Brittany Woods section, there was 4 votes. Wouldn't you think, in your expertise, professional opinion, that if anybody had any conflict of interest with Brittany Woods, whether they lived there previously or served on their beautification committee, that they should have abstained from that vote.
I don't really know if because someone resided in the community, because I don't believe, maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that development is part of the Brittany Woods. I don't think there are residents in that development of Brittany Woods participate in any of the project or the recreation facility that's being built there. So, I would be just an off-cuff response. I don't believe that that would put someone in a conflict of interest because they're in the community. If they had an interest in that lot, they had an interest with the developer, a different story. But just being a resident there, I don't believe so because they're not part of that project that's being built there.
It's basically her neighbor.
It is, but here's the part that you have to pay attention to how he answered that. So, at the current time of him answering this, it's already been approved that that's going to be separated out, right? Now he's saying that she's not part of.
Not
Brittany
anymore.
Woods. She does not live in the units where the 29 units are. So, the timing of answering and the question that he answered, had it been around the timing of when the vote took place to get to the point that we're in sitting today, if you go back and listen to what he actually said, that's how he answered that. Just like every other attorney out there. Sorry if you're an attorney listening, but all you attorneys are answer like attorneys.
It was a part of Brittany Woods before the vote, but now after.
But now that's after the vote. She's not part of that. She doesn't live in that neighborhood. See, makes total sense.
It's like they're gonna pick them up and move them away.
Right. It's like it never even happened.
But back to the video that I thought we were gonna go to next. We talked about when you question anything, and you can, and we question everything everywhere, but in this particular,
I'm just here talking.
You just hang out, take notes. I don't question anything either. I just sit back and take notes, and then I do this.
Yeah.
So, Denise got called out on this. Sam's been called out on this before. I've been at other things where people ask a question, and then it's don't you like affordable housing?
Right, it's flipped around here, just like I was getting heated about earlier. It was,
Yeah, so this is Orlando's. This makes him feel some kind of way.
I understand that there are questions about the process, and I didn't leave here. I didn't leave with a good feeling 2 weeks ago that this plan we didn't know much about, and so I'll take that on the chin, and I apologize, and I'm sure maybe some of my colleagues apologize, but I went through this plan over the last 2 weeks and read it inside and out, and it's going to help meet some of the needs and desires of the people that reside in that community. But one of the issues that I have, I just feel a certain kind of way when projects have been identified in Brittany Woods, it is scrutinized. And that playground, we still talk about the playground that we have there. And that playground has been heavily scrutinized over the last 4 years. But we've had playgrounds in other neighborhoods in our township that no one talks about. Mr. Brown was here from Mulberry Station a few weeks ago, and he was tickled pink that he's getting a playground set. No one's talking about that. That's going up in Mulberry Station. But it's talked about in Brittany Woods. This project where we have a developer going into their own pocket and rehabilitating 29 units, creating a clubhouse and a meeting place.
May not
I understand the
completely be
process.
his own pocket.
People didn't like the process. But that gets scrutinized.
No, that's
and
not.
I just feel a certain way about why that particular neighborhood gets scrutinized. But folks can throw on a polo shirt and kelp clean before an election and take a photo up there. But let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. But there's a project here that is good for our community. We're investing in people and we're investing in our community. I understand people did not like the process, but there are folks that are always going to have a problem with a solution for.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So yeah, how do you dissect that there? It's people are always going to have a problem with the solution. That's true.
I'm going to go check and see if Mulberry Station really needs a playground.
What? Look, I love kids. I love seeing kids playing on playgrounds, and it's great. You know, I don't know what he's referring to. I've not paid attention to the Brittany Woods problem with the playground that people have had, but it must be what you were referring to before, where there was a few playgrounds being spent, and again, maybe the money was just questioned. That's what they have a problem with, is the questioning. And then in this case, we're putting that questioning and saying it's because of this. No one. It couldn't not be questioned just because it's a certain area of town or a certain neighborhood.
I could think of so many playgrounds.
We have a lot
that were
good.
They were just questioned just because they didn't just pop up that they needed something. They were like, the money was moved and moved and moved and moved, and it was like,
and then all of a sudden it was a playground. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it wound up being basically what happened was money was budgeted for a playground somewhere else, and I think it was like the Muse down the street or somewhere.
Okay.
I think it was somewhere close to me. The money was budgeted, and then that money was taken and used somewhere else. And then when it was questioned, where did the playground go?
Right.
The response was the neighbors put in a petition that they didn't want a playground there. So then they said, okay, we're going to use that money over here, put in Brittany Woods playground. And there was some questions about how that money was transferred around, but it was more than one playground, and we questioned all of them that this weird money was moving around on. But they only remember that we questioned Brittany Woods.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much how that is. And
well, I mean, that goes into whole nother topic. It's that money, whether you like it or not, is our taxpayer money. Like, the government doesn't have money. It's our money, right? So our representation should be there because it's our money. So I mean, that goes on to we have other topics here about representation, and I don't know if you want to get into that now, but it might be a good segue into
the other funny part that just popped up in there too, when Orlando talks about popping on a polo shirt and cleaning up. There was
who was he referring to there?
So last
election cycle?
Yeah, last election cycle.
Was it you? You were
2021. I did not.
No,
we did not get team polo shirts. We had very little money. But the some of the was the Republican campaign. Some of them went over. They had matching T-shirts,
right?
Polo shirts. They went over and did a cleanup over at Brittany Woods, but so did the mayor and Miss Grace.
On the same day?
They were all there.
Oh, really?
In fact, I heard.
Well, was it like a town? Like, did Brittany Woods put out like a cleanup day, and then they both ended up showing up?
I think they all showed up.
So it was a coordinated thing that they both showed up to help out this already established. Okay.
They took.
I don't know how you can call that
from
out.
From what I gather, like the D'Amico crew did a lot of work, and the mayor did a lot of photo taking.
Right.
So it was just funny. It was funny. It's funny they got called out for it, but the mayor being there and Miss Grace being there, who both were also up for re-election. They took part in it too, but only one team got called out for being there.
Well,
I was home.
Yeah.
I was probably cleaning up my own backyard, but it's
if it was like a scheduled day that like the whole town was clean, their whole neighborhood was cleaning up. How can you call somebody out to come help that?
I don't.
I organized the cleanup, in Gloucester Township, and people that didn't live in that area came to clean up. Down the shore, I help out with different cleanups that happen along the coast and stuff like that. And you don't have to necessarily be from there, but I know it was an easy dig, but we were keeping it real, I guess. So,
yeah,
keep it real. Keep it real, folks.
Let's keep it real.
So in keeping it real, let's go on to our next topic here of
so one of the
organization charts.
Right? I don't know how this came about. It was kind of searching for something, and we come across the township organizational chart, and thought this was a kind of a. So you'll notice something about this organizational chart.
Can you zoom in on that for people to see anything?
Yeah. So.
Oh, I can't see it. So who's at the top?
The top is the township council.
Legislative.
Yeah.
It's too far away from me.
Statutory appointments. But basically, the council is the top of the organizational chart in Gloucester Township.
I can't see, Joe. There's lines going down to mayor.
There are. We're not good at PDFs in Gloucester Township. Our PDFs generally aren't great. No.
Okay.
But there are lines that go down to boards and agencies, mayor, the executive,
the township clerk. Okay.
And it kind of goes down through that. But essentially, the top of the township,
top dog
is the council.
Township council.
Council overlooks everything.
They're over everything.
You might ask, what's wrong with that? But
I don't know. Let's look at some other towns. What do other towns have?
So Glendale, because Glendale just did some Googling for township organizational charts, and Glendale we can look at.
Wait a minute. Who's at the top of this one? The
citizens of Glendale. Yes,
you've got to be kidding me.
Glendale, who then appoint their city council to speak for them. That is, that's how that works.
They appoint them or they elect them?
They elect them. Sorry, that's the way.
So council, all the elected officials report to the citizens. This is pretty amazing. This is telling.
This is if you've never paid attention to politics in any other town, you probably wouldn't know. Here's Hamilton. Hamilton Township.
Okay, what do they have?
Residents.
The residents of Hamilton Township are above
the elected officials.
All elected officials.
Yes.
Everyone.
So yes.
So wait, go back. Can you go back to Gloucester Township and see where we fall on that chart?
We fall.
Let's see here. How do you get back there?
There we go.
Okay, are we there?
There's no residents here. It is just.
So the residents weren't even thought of when they said, "Let's make a chart of the organization of this town and who's in charge of who."
We're not there.
You're sure?
We don't
checked every box.
We don't. Yeah, we're not.
We're not even bottom of the barrel.
Nope. We're just. We're just the guys.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just the guys.
Interesting.
San Antonio. You need another one. San Antonio.
We could probably do these all day, right?
I don't know. I just started googling like township organizational charts.
So San Antonio looks like the residents.
Again. This is a little bit smaller image, but residents are over mayor and city council. So they that's been it's been one of the biggest arguments we have. We've got a crowd of people it's not a big crowd. There's not a whole lot of us that go to council meetings, but
wait, so 3 people or is a crowd now?
There's a few of us in the crowd, and the people that we're talking to, Orlando, Hutchinson, Grace, those people are essentially our peers. We've elected them to represent us.
Right.
So, if you think about it, there's 7 of them. If you were to turn to everybody sitting in the chairs, asking questions, watching council meetings, or watching on YouTube, and you ask them what their opinion is on any given topic, pick 10 people, ask them what their opinion is, you're probably going to get a few different answers, a few different opinions. 7 people might say, yeah, I agree. 3 people are going to say, I don't agree. It's going to be like that everywhere. I know that the rest of the people I go to council meetings with, I don't agree with some of their stances. We did,
true.
we ran a campaign, and there was there were 4 people in our campaign that we're quite different. We all kind of had the same thing we wanted in mind, but we had kind of different ways to get there. What we have right now is 7 people who essentially think the same.
Well, I'm going to go back to what you just said there. I might be one of the people you disagree with on on things, but I feel like that might have implied that they don't have the same end goals. Like, go back to that Orlando comment that this was a good thing for the township. That's great. It can be, and I agree that it's a good thing for, the people of Brittany Woods. So they also do have good goals in mind, and it's the paths that we take to those goals, I believe, is what you're saying, right? There's different ways to do things, different ways to handle situations, and different things. It's not all of our goals are all the same, but the ones that are the same, we just take different paths to get there. Is that fair or no? Or am I going way off topic?
I mean,
from what you...
No, well, you can look at that and say, where's the downside to it?
Right.
1, it helps those people out. 2, it helps that whole area of town out.
Right.
And then 3, it helps the entire town.
Right.
The better that each individual area of town grows,
right,
the better the town grows. And then the more, the more businesses want to come in, and hopefully not warehouses and more Wawas and dollar stores, but
right.
But it's a plus any way you look at it. But how we get there,
which is what I got you off traffic, and that's where you were saying is it's different views of how we all get there, and right now it's not. Oh, go ahead.
That's exactly what it is. But the thought of sitting there watching the meetings in person and seeing the people sit up on there and seeing our council sit up on there and feeling so disconnected from them is the biggest thing, and it's why the seats are empty around us.
If you're on the dais, you're them, and you're on the other side, you're us, and it's an us versus them feeling anytime that you go there. But it's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be you're representing us. If somebody's going up there and asking a question, you would think one person up there on the dais would say, "Hey, I agree with whoever it is that's up there saying something." So there's a video that I pulled out that I just thought was it was cold. Yeah.
And it's if you've ever watched a council meeting, if you've ever gone to a council meeting, the gentleman there, his name is Brian Burns. He is he's a big fan of preserving open space. Yeah. He's one of the many people in this town that are
huge advocate for it, and he's done a lot with actually getting it secured, and
he's basically
found the funding.
He's
everything.
Found the funding. He's worked with if somebody owns a farm and it's a historical farm, like he's gone there and worked with that family and then gone back
and got them to not sell it to become housing for something else, and said, "Hey, you're going to take market rate for it being just land, not what it could be as something else." Talk them. Well, I don't know if he talked them into it, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, he's facilitated this for them,
and he's gotten everything. Just saying, like, okay, here's the keys, here's the money, do it, and just handed it over. It's done deal for them. Found the meantime, everything.
In the meantime, he's had a lot of roadblocks. Like, there's just been a lot of like dead space where he's like, guys, what are we doing? There's this family
6 months, and all we need right now is for the name to be added to the list. Our vendor that we pay money to, all they need to do is literally add this name to a list, and we can move forward. But they haven't done it in 3 months or whatever the time frame is. And they're like, they're getting to it. And he's like, well, okay, getting to it is just simply adding a name. It'll argue about having, we used to have someone in township as an employee to do these things, and now we've taken that employee and made it a vendor versus an employee. Split their job up into two different. Either way, I'm getting way off topic here.
And I think this particular comment came up. I don't know if this was around the warehouse thing or it was around. It's around building a bunch of different things. Like, cause I know
this was for the one that was over by Cross Keys Road that was going up. There was a neighborhood.
This is the corner. Okay, is this the neighborhood or is this the warehouse?
Yeah, it was a warehouse going up. Yeah,
so if you're familiar with Lowe's and Target. Correct. Behind them on
I don't know.
I forget the name of the road there. I live right around the corner from it.
Yeah.
But there is the old Nike base. There's a new development right there, and across the street from that is a field, and then another new development that was put in also. But that field essentially is going to become like a 48-bay warehouse.
Yeah.
And the thought was, well, we don't need more trucks on Crosskeys Road. We don't need trucks in the back roads. We don't need trucks on Sicklerville Road. That's backed up like crazy to get to 42. And then plus, who wants a warehouse?
Yeah.
Just kind of.
I believe the zoning was already zoned for that and everything. So I don't think it was a big change of use or anything like that. For this project, but
I think
either way, I think we're getting off topic here. The point of it was, Brian was just going up, explaining that this space can be preserved and not have to be done this way.
It can be if you want to.
Yeah.
So here, check it out.
Property across from Mullen, it was zoned for 1 acre properties for residential homes. And you guys approved it to be changed, they got townhouses in there. So you're gonna add, a lot more people in the same amount of space, and you change the zoning for that. You change the zoning for Little Pond down here. So the zoning can be changed, but you have to want to do it. You have to say to yourselves that, if this place is built out enough, the roads are so crowded and congested, and you're putting more burden on the police department and EMS and leaf pickup and snow removal and so on and so forth. You can do it, but you have to want to do it. That's the thing, you have to want to do it. And the idea that, well, the more we build, the more we can control our taxes, it just seems like the more you build, the more our taxes go up. Because there's more demand on the services. And if you were to approach landowners that have land now and say, we have money, and you do have money, you have well over $1 million for open space acquisition, would you consider preserving your land instead of selling it to a developer? It can be done, but you have to want to do it.
Mr. Burns, your time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
So yeah, that's
pretty cold.
That's the guys up there. That's not the first time that's happened.
No,
it happens all the time. I don't know if you go to school board meetings, but that's literally, you go up there, you can say anything, and it literally is that it? Thank you, and then just dismissed, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't.
What?
As put yourself on council, and you've got to say something. You could say, I don't like open space. You could say that.
I would say that, but okay. Yeah.
I mean, you could say that. At least you're acknowledging them, or you could say, look, I really, I like where you're going, or give them a reason why it makes sense to you to put houses there or a warehouse there.
Yeah.
Not just time's up.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I guess the context of the whole clip there may have helped us a little bit more, but I don't know if he was saying that, like, hey, go buy that piece of property before this other company does, because I'm not sure that the deal was done, or whatever it is. But he's talking about in general, like, and your response can be in general for that, because he's always up there talking about the percentage of land in Gloucester Township that's been preserved is what, under 5% or something like that, he says. I forget the exact number, but it's very low, and he's always advocating for it. And I like Brian. He's a really good guy, and to just dismiss it like that was
he's not a guy he's not a guy that fights with him. Like he's
not going in there and he's not adversarial at all. It's just, hey, and he actually is a help in my opinion.
He's a nice guy with great intentions for the township.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I was scrolling through and was like,
thank you. Your time is up.
Yes, wow. Your time is up. And kind of on the same topic. So one of the things was brought up at the end of last year was that a lot of times things are voted on, and then after they're voted and it's a done deal, at the end of it all, they read eGov questions.
Yeah, so I guess to bring people in that don't maybe understand or know what process you're going through, since you and I attend meetings, there's an agenda that happens for each meeting, and the agenda is set, and it's the same thing every time, where it's okay. First, everybody gets up and salutes the flag, and then you do this, and then so there's a roll call and blah blah. So the order of that is set by the council president, and then it's followed every single week. So there's a public portion to start off with, where you can just speak about items that are on the agenda. Then there's and I apologize, I don't know the exact order of it, but then there's like a reading of ordinances, and then it goes into a vote, and then it's the consent agenda and blah blah blah. So each one of these things, and one of the items is called an eGov, like questions that are sent in. And eGov is, if you go on to Gloucester Township's website, there is a section for, I forget what it's called. Is it like a community? I forget what it's. There's a certain section where you can go in there, and if you have a question of council, you can't make it to a meeting, you want to know the answer, you want to bring it to their attention, whatever it is, you have the ability to go on and send an email question in there for them to go and respond to it. So, and not to cut you off on this whole thing that you started talking about, but the question was brought up of the placement in the agenda doesn't make sense. If you're there to represent us and someone has a question about an item that's on the agenda, which is posted, by statute or whatever, that it has to be out for a certain amount of time ahead of time, so everyone knows what's going to be discussed. Now, I go on there, I see, what is this project that's, whatever it is, Little Pond was just brought up, it's Little Pond, I have a question about this. I'm going to send an eGov question in. So the process is, the agenda is set, and the vote takes place before your question about that night's meeting is actually read. So basically, if you were to bring up the best point that anyone ever had, it wouldn't be asked or wouldn't be read until after what was voted. It could change every person up there's mind. I don't know that it actually would, but I'm just saying as an example. It doesn't matter if it does or it doesn't. It's just the process of it, or the timing of that in the process, is way out of whack and completely wrong. So that's where we have a couple of clips of people asking this multiple times, like, hey, can we please change this? Can we do this? And the answer is, I set the agenda. Because again, if you go back to the organizational chart, you can see the citizens aren't on there. Citizens have no say. Damn. So the council and council president sets the agenda. So let's hear what goes on with this here.
During the last meeting, Ray had requested, and I supported or seconded, a request that eGov questions pertaining to the consent agenda or regular agenda would be read prior to the regular or consent agenda and the council's vote. And Council President, you had suggested that would be taken up at the reorganization meeting. Is it fair to assume, based on the layout of tonight's agenda, that was voted down?
I set the agenda, and we voted on at reorg our order of business, and GTE Gov access that will remain in place prior to the second public portion.
Okay.
Sit down,
specific
peasant.
Reasons given as to why it was not moved prior to consent and regular agenda? I know I had just made the comment that it would be helpful for me, sitting, in the citizens section. Oftentimes people's viewpoints help me, craft my own discussion points on consent and regular agenda items.
At times there are valid questions and concerns, and sometimes there are comments that are made to make a political point.
President Mercado, I know it's been brought up in the past about having two eGov questions, two eGov times, because sometimes, like right now, the eGov is right after the agenda. So like my eGov, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make the meeting. That's why I sent my eGov question in, and then I waived it, obviously, since I was here and got the answers. But if I wasn't here, it would have been read after the agenda. And I'm sure certain people or other people have the same thing. They have agenda questions sometimes. And I know you get them beforehand. So could we, if they're agenda questions, possibly move those eGov questions to the front?
That was asked by another resident at our December meeting, and I said I would think about it when we had a reorganization, and I decided to keep it where it's at in our order of business. So it's going to still remain there throughout the year.
All right.
Just a basic agenda type question. If you wouldn't mind being mindful of any eGov questions that are submitted that pertain to the first public portion on agenda items, that you could review them when you go into public portion on the first public portion. Be mindful to read them out as they pertain to the agenda. Other than that, I have nothing.
Mr. Polidoro, we're going to follow the order of business that we established at the beginning of reorganization each year. So they'll be read the way we have established in our order of business.
Okay, it seems.
I'll take that under consideration. When
That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none.
So not only do we just not.
So it's not going to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
Oh. It's not going to be taken into consideration at all.
Just like when it was brought up in December and then brought up again in January after reorganization, and it was like, yeah, what do you think about that?
No.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be
changing that.
It's not going to.
Sometimes people ask dumb questions. Or no, I'm sorry.
Political. Sometimes they make
questions that could
sometimes
take
they
a
make
political.
It political. Yeah. So yes, don't ever wear matching polo shirts to council meeting. That's political.
Yeah. Why did somebody do that?
No, it's my next. It's the next thing I'm going to try.
I'm going to try that.
And then along the lines of eGov questions and just
Ray Palladoro, who is the one that was in that last clip. He's one he was reminding him about this eGov thing. Ray reminds each one of them every week almost. Please speak into your microphones, because they don't like to speak into the microphones and we can't hear what's being said. And so there's a little bit of back and forth that's been going on for years, I guess, between them. And Ray's friendly with everyone, but there was a clip that you liked, you wanted to play.
I did, yeah, I did. I thought it was it's funny the way that it's.
Please refrain from outbursts. Why do I have to scold older people, adults?
You shouldn't have to scold. You shouldn't be scolding anyone.
You knew who Claude Rains was, just like I did. So why do we have to do that? The tone was set last meeting by comments from you, Ray, where this whole we know this and asking questions that you supposedly knew the answers to about quotes. You set the tone. You got your people out. Great job. Great job. But that was the tone set for the evening. And so you ask about people who voted no. You know it's going to be 4-3. We're Nostradamus now. How many times, Ray, have I voted no on a budget? You've been here for 16 years. How many times have I voted no on a budget?
I believe that was your first.
Correct. How many times have I won an election, Ray?
You were the lowest. You've been the lowest vote getter, and it keeps getting lower. So I'm presuming that this was CYA.
I still beat the other counties by 1,000 votes.
You've been around the longest. You got the lowest votes of most of the people you ran with. It's.
Ray,
I understand. I understand Ray, scratching and digging. I understand.
No, Ray, if you're gonna say something, take it. Okay, you gonna dish it out, take it. So Ray, how many times? 0. I voted for it.
So, a couple questions. Who's Ray's people? He gets his people to come out?
I'm not sure. I believe that this was the meeting that happened after the one where it came out that Denise was in the room and recorded that, or had overheard whatever there was with the budget thing. So all those people up there that had outrage about, or had no outrage about anything else, but that they didn't have. And now Ray is being told that he set the meeting, or the tone of that whole meeting, and then something about dishing it out was.
Yeah, I guess so. They started angry because Ray set the tone, and
right, but the problem is they're angry at Ray and his people. That's. Why weren't you angry about that? You brought to light that they were trying to manipulate you, the council and the public about the numbers. There's no outrage about that, but they're mad at the people for hearing that or bringing it out. I don't understand.
And Ray doesn't have a club or anything like
right.
that. He's as far as I know, I'm not one of Ray's people. I go and Ray is what's Ray politically? He's an
appliance repairman.
Well, he's
right?
he's appliance repairman, but
it could be.
I guess
those people came.
Politically, he's the chair for the Gloucester Township Republican.
Republican
committee.
Chair. Is that what he is called? The chair?
He's the chair. And I guess they consider everybody in the crowd Ray's people, even though they are.
So it's actually us and them because
not even all Republicans that are in the crowd. So it's like,
no.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Democrat. I believe.
Yeah,
they all ran as Democrat tickets.
Who's that?
I think. Well, I don't know if Carolyn Grace. Yeah, Carolyn Grace was
reelected.
Right?
Everybody up there. Everybody up there they're all Democrat. But I mean, right. the people behind Ray, Ray's crowd, when he says you got your crowd to come out.
Okay, yeah.
They're Democrats in the crowd too, so they're
not
absolutely. Like they're friendly with Ray. Everybody knows Ray. Ray's been around for years, so I don't know who's Ray's people is. Ray's people are the residents that are not allowed to be at the top of the org chart. That's who Ray's people are. They are the forgotten. So yeah. Ray is the new leader of the forgotten.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much. I think that was all the clips that we have.
I believe.
Yeah, I think that's all the clips that we have. So really, like we said before, it is truly a lack of representation. Nobody. There's a good example I think that we went back to about the marijuana dispensaries and the stores, the grow facilities. Basically, when it was brought up that a couple places, I guess, they put in for approvals to come into Gloucester Township to either be a grow facility or a dispensary, and there was a big discussion about it. A couple people in the crowd were really against it, but one of the things that stood out to me was Councilman Hutchinson was definitely against it. He said out and out, "I'm not for this."
I think it was further back than. Well, either way, it's not.
Yeah, that was one of the things that stood out though was
we didn't adopt our own regulations around it. We waited till the last minute till it was either you adopt your own or you adopt what the state
has,
says.
Yeah.
And we waited till the last minute, so there had to be a vote on it so that we could adopt what the state had, and that's when I believe that's when he voiced his opinion about it. I know what you're referring to.
It wasn't really about do we want them, yes or no. It was we're going to set regulations that says it has to be 200 feet from this, or it has to be this many feet away from a school. It can't be this many feet away from another one.
Right.
So just guidelines around it. And some of the people that were attending the meeting were just upset overall that they were there. So the discussion came up about this and why are we allowing it in the town? And there wasn't a whole lot. Chief's not very thrilled about it, but Hutchinson was very against it, but voted yes. And when it was asked, all right, why did you vote?
He was very vocal around it not being. Well, I don't know if very, but he was vocal about it being not something he was fond of. He didn't approve of it and everything else. But then when it came time to vote, he voted yes. And then I'm not sure who it was that asked. I believe it was Sam Sweet that went up and asked, if you were against it, why did you vote yes instead of no? His response was that, and I don't exact number, but 70% of Gloucester Township voted for that. They wanted this to take place. So Sam's answer back or his rebuttal or whatever you want to call it says, well, then why didn't you vote no? If 70%, you're supposed to represent the other third there. And then his response was, no, the majority of the constituents wanted the yes vote or whatever.
It's a good way to win your next election. because you're gonna you're appeasing
right 70%.
You're appeasing the 70%. Now, when he was voted in, technically,
well, that's a political move, not a
yes.
You're supposed to be doing up there move. You're supposed to be representing a certain portion of the township. So yes, from a political standpoint, yeah, that's a good move to make. But from what you're supposed to be doing, representing us.
Yeah.
If you look at the org chart of the citizens are on top, and your work, for them, and you believe the same thing that these citizens here, believe, vote for it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's 7 people. There should be 7 variations of an opinion. I mean, they could all agree that they may all agree on something, but not all the time. They should not always have the most popular opinion, especially when they don't agree with it. So, and he's a good example because he was basically a conservative that ran on lowering taxes. I mean, you can still find his old YouTube videos on.
Yeah, I don't know anything about
his old campaign. And he was when he won, he was a Republican. He was conservative. Ran on lower taxes, got in, changed parties, and now votes the way that they all do. But the people that voted for him, they probably voted for him for that particular reason. He represented those people, and it's a shame that there is no different representation. It's basically 7 people. They pretty much all have the same idea. When we talked about that 4-3 vote,
yeah,
it had to be 4-3. Like they knew what that vote was going to be ahead of time. There's no way that it's going to go 4-3 the other way and not pass.
Yeah,
4-3 is a good way of saying we feel you, but it's got to go through.
Right.
So it's I don't know, it's a tough one, man. There's
who do you Nostradamus now?
Yeah. Like we know that some people are occasionally going to shift especially at budget time. People are going to vote opposite of it, especially during, like, you saw it during 2020 with the pandemic where they raised the taxes there. I think Stubbs voted no.
I believe Stubbs was the only one that voted no. Everybody else voted yes.
She voted no. I think she voted no. She voted no, like, remotely, and said that it was with everything going on, she didn't think it was a good idea. This last budget, I think Orlando voted no because he thought there was problems with the overtime. There was just too much overtime.
Right.
And then a couple people thought that the funds for COVID should have been used to offset the increase. So, but again, I'm pretty sure that was well thought out, that the 4-3 was still going to pass, but make it look like we feel you guys.
Yeah.
So that's
it's speculation, but it's pretty. You can assume that.
Yeah, and so the problem is, it's now that back in, I think it was 2009, we went from non-partisan elections to partisan elections. So previous elections for council were, I think, May. And then they were moved with the regular elections.
Right.
So I imagine when they were in May, there was probably like 37 people that came out and voted for it in the off because they weren't voting for a governor or president. So, but once they moved them, then it became, now it's a red and blue thing, and that's pretty much what it is. Unless you're a crazy independent that goes up and bombs at the election, like
like somebody else I know over here. Oh, this guy.
But yeah, so it is. It's a very, very political thing now. We saw it when.
But the thing that I don't, not to go completely off topic here, but I don't get the whole red and blue thing at a local level like we did. Like, seriously, what would be the argument of any of the things that we have going on here that's like that red and blue even comes into play when we're talking about
that's the thing,
projects for this, that, or the other. There's nothing that anyone disagrees on, I don't believe, and that's where I don't understand.
Well,
I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but
and that was the toughest part of running last year, was that there was the independent team and there was the Republican team fighting against, running against the
having
current,
the same
the
goal,
current Democrats,
going different paths.
Yeah.
Again,
my team and the Republican team, we all had the same goals on a
Right.
local level. Everything was the same, and my team was we were truly independent. You know, Sam still registered as a Democrat. Dawn was a Republican. I was an independent, and Shaylin I think might have been a Democrat. But we all on a local level, exactly the same.
Right.
Pretty
And that's
much
the thing, is
exactly.
You
the
can
same.
go to almost any town or house around this town and have the same on a local level. There's something that you're voting
Yeah.
on. It blows my mind that people will just vote party.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah,
you know,
and that's what we saw too. We saw, you know, when the results of the election came out, and it was, and you saw, you know, obviously the mayor and his folks, they won again, but then the amount of people that just voted column 2, it was like I like them, I don't like them, and then there was the people that heard about, you know, the Restore GT campaign, and they voted for them, but honestly, we had to reach the other, I think it was 70. Man, they will tell me the exact number if I get it off too. If I'm wrong, the Republicans will remind me. Let's just say 7,500. That's 7,500. They didn't knock on 7,500 doors, you know.
No,
so it
it's
was
a
like
party vote on that side.
It was like, yes, I like them. No, I don't like them. Or yeah, I heard about Sam and his people. So when it comes down to local, it is partisan, even though it shouldn't be.
Right.
Like if you don't like the mayor and the current council up there, whether you like Republicans or not, and if you don't like them, put people that you know. I don't know. Go talk to them. For one, find out they're pretty much just your neighbors. I mean, that's kind of what, you know. After the last election, I hated the Republicans. I mean, you know, they up to the point where, like, when we were voting for them, like I want to
fight them.
I hated that they were there, man. I was just like, man. And then, you know, the night of the election, we basically were, you know, it was like 11 o'clock at night. We're at Skeeter's and we're buying beers for each other, and then it was like, all right, let's not make this mistake again. Let's do this. And
I told all you it was a mistake from the get-go, but
let's not make it. Yeah, let's not make it be such a political thing. Let's just become this group of opposition. Yeah. And sure, you know, next time somebody runs, let's put them in column 2. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a hardcore Republican. You just have to oppose the people that are in there right now, and that's, you know, I hate that it's political, but that's the only way we're going to win. They've got it. You saw it on the school board, and when you stood with me at Ariel,
yeah,
and you saw the marksman trucks with the big signs on it for school board positions, and it's like, as a, you know, just as a regular guy that just was like, I just want to do good things for the school.
Right.
I think you had no chance at like going against the billboards driving around.
Yeah. You got AP construction trucks with big billboards. You got marksman trucks going around. It's and the best part is there's a clip from back in the day too of this, but they'll run school board candidates it's a non-partisan, you know, role. It's not supposed to be political, but yet they're all on the same car, or, you know, trucks and signs and all placed together and all the same. You know, you look at the same
sign decoration that our council people have. It's the same. It's all the same money.
Yeah, it's insane. And then there was a clip of I think Sam Sweet had brought to a council meeting and asking Cardis if he wants to explain, or not, Mr. Carlemere, if he wants to explain why they had a post or something that said clean sweep, and it had all the candidates from the school board and the council and everything on there, and I found that pretty interesting. That was like, oh yeah, there was a thing, and his answer was like, I don't know where that was taken. What the hell does it matter where it was taken? It was
one of the best things that I saw, one of the biggest representations of there's a problem is, think about the structure, even with the residents missing,
right?
Council's on top. and they overlook everybody below them.
Yeah.
So if our township administrator, Tom Cardis, if he's doing something they don't like, they're basically the guy auditing him, and they're asking the questions,
right?
And
saying, hey, I'm voting no on the budget that you proposed here because I'm not in line with the overtime.
Because you're overspending.
I'm over top of you in this whole process here. So why is he campaigning for them?
He's out handing out paper, handing out flyers for them. So it's like,
hey, I really approve of the people who come and audit me. So make sure that it's the same people that audit me so that I know what I can get away with. And
that's the craziest thing. How did nobody? People didn't lose their minds over it, and it's the administration is helping the current mayor and council. They're helping them get where they need, stay in their spot so that they can continue to do what they do. And on top of that, the businesses that they are helping with pay-to-play money is coming right back to fund the campaigns.
Yep.
So we've got it. You got to play the same way. You got to play dirty. You got to play political and become part of the big opposition.
Yeah.
That's going to take money, and you know what it's like. Man, it's July. By this time, so we got an election in 2023.
Yeah, is it not? It's not this year, right?
There's not.
This year, school board.
This year's school board, and then 2023 is 4 council seats. So, honestly, the 2020 election or 2021 election, by April or May of 2020. We already had a campaign started.
Really? So a year plus, 2 years out almost.
No? Almost 2 years out.
Wow.
Almost 2 years. It was, and we started planning that in like 2019, and so now we're in July, so we're a couple months past what we did before. So it's really time to start thinking about it, folks. If you've
everybody would like to run.
Yeah,
other hat in the ring there.
If you want to run, or you got questions, or you want to help somebody run, man, reach out to us. So we've done it before. We know everybody else that ran last year. We're all friends now, so we've kind of gotten past that whole thing, and we know what needs to be done. So that's it. I mean, you
just need to win. That's all you gotta do is just win.
Win, no matter how we have to get there to win.
That's what you need to do.
And then just
that's the secret.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's
all you gotta do, right?
Yeah. The Republicans do a social thing at Valari's it's the first Thursday of the month at Valari's.
First Thursday? I guess that is right.
Yeah, first Thursday. It's like 7 p.m.
So that's coming up. I don't even know what day we're on, but
we go.
If you listen to this soon, check it out. It'll be the first.
We go.
Thursday.
Sometimes they get the private room over there. Sometimes they just hang out at the bar. I've gone to a few of them. I've met Claire, who's running against Donald Norcross. She's been there. Some other people that locally that have been running. Some of the Winslow Township people come out too.
Yeah,
and it's not just Republicans too. So we've had a lot of people that you've seen in some of the council meetings.
It's just a social club. It doesn't have to be. We've seen all kinds of people.
It's throwing ideas together. I mean, we've talked about.
It's getting like-minded people and like-minded meaning locally like-minded. You can have a difference of opinion about whatever national problem there is. But
there's some of us that really, really differ in opinions, but. We go there, and when we talk about what needs to happen, I think the last one that I went to, we had some people that were questioning about, hey, what does it take to run in school board elections, and what do you need to do, and we were able to pretty much guide those people in. This is the kind of paperwork that you need, and so it's like that. I mean, if you have questions, you want to do it, and you don't know where to start. Just show up, ask questions. People are more than helpful, more than willing to help you out on it. Also,
and everybody has a different skill set too. You might possess the skills that no one else has, like whatever it is, whether it's posting on social media. You're really good at that. I don't know, or whatever,
Yeah.
graphic design, or I don't know, hammering a nail into
like
a telephone
if
pole.
you like,
Who knows what it is, but
yeah,
you could be the best one of those out there. We don't even know.
You like knocking on doors. You just want to go talk to people.
Yeah.
There's room for that too. So that, and come into a council meeting. Where I'm one of us are always at council meetings, or mostly both of us are at council meetings, along with a lot of the people that you saw in clips. So council meeting, next one coming up is on Monday, and it's basically what's the second and fourth Mondays of the month. RestoreGT.com has the schedule for it, so go there. If you got any questions on what to do there is posts on Restore GT that tell you basically what door to walk in. So
right,
I mean,
it tells you everything you need to know.
It's detailed. That's pretty much it, guys. Subscribe to the channel, and you wanted to bring up some.
Well, there's some upcoming events in town too that people should be aware of or whatever. But yeah, every Thursday night from 4 to 7, the Blackwood Farmers Market is over at Harwin Park, which is next to the old Rite Aid, which was on the Black Horse Pike, across from the bank building right there. That's every Thursday. This past week it was canceled due to excessive heat, but it's it'll resume next week. There's also, I know, Blackwood Estates night out is going to be August 2nd. I don't know I'm assuming other sections of town also have it, because this one I know is specifically for Blackwood Estates.
National Night Out is sometime in August.
I think August 2nd is everywhere, night out. But anyway, yeah, I guess check probably the township's website will have more of them. But yeah, I know the Blackwood Estates one is going to be at State Street Park, and it's just basically a night out to get out, meet your neighbors, talk to other people, say hello, and see who else lives in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Joe was saying, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification buttons,
get your neighbors to run for office too.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. Go out and start talking politics. That always goes over well. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Check out RestoreGT.com. Stop by at any of the Republican events that they are doing, and that's pretty much it, guys.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Hopefully not as long as it did last time.
This was like a double banger here because we missed a week, and then so we're doing 2 in 1.
All right, thanks, see you guys.